I wanted to do this earlier, but let's do it now so I can get out the way so I can work out. Uh, I originally was going to go to the gym this morning, but um, I got up late, guys. So uh, from that, I was like, all right, forget it. Made some iced coffee, ate some leftover birthday food. Yes, I have leftover birthday food. But in defense of myself, uh, that was the Jollibee chicken that I bought yesterday when I went to the country's best fried chicken uh, in Wheaton, Maryland. And yes, I'm not being facetious. Like the newspaper, the USA Today, rated the Jollibee uh, chicken restaurant in Wheaton, Maryland as the country's best fried chicken. So good place to go if you guys are ever in the Washington D.C. area. Stop by Jollibee's in Wheaton, Maryland. Free shout out to them. I'm not getting paid to say that. I just find it delicious. Free, like that's just like a free shout out to them. In any case, then I had some leftover pizza too from my birthday that I kept in the fridge. I told other family members they can have, but they've been dilly dallying, and I don't believe in wasting good food. So my grandmother actually said, she was like, so you ate all the chicken?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, yesterday?" I was like, "No, yesterday and today." I'm not like them. I don't understand how some people keep food in the fucking fridge for days to weeks until it damn near spoils before they decide to eat it. I'm not doing that. This is freshly cooked food from yesterday. I'm not going to let it just sit in the fridge and go to oblivion slowly but surely every day. Nah, it was something for my birthday, so I'm eating it. I gave you a chance to eat it. All you guys took a piece, and that was it. And they all got health problems anyway, so I didn't expect them to eat much. Two of them have type 2 diabetes. The other one, my grandmother has can barely eat. So I'm not gonna sit there and let the food sit in there for weeks until they figure it out. Sorry, not my problem that you guys don't stay physically fit. And that's not a dig on my grandmother, but she didn't care about her health when she was younger. When she was younger, she was overweight and she smoked heavily. That catches up with you. Akia says hi. What's up, Akia? All right. So as I as I ban a troll, that gets into the topic du jour, which is in defense of toxic masculinity. And you would think, if I'm defending toxic masculinity, shouldn't I allow trolls? No, they are a part of the antithesis of toxic masculinity. Masculine men don't come onto live streams and lay insults to people. That's a very feminine trait. So I'm calling that out now. People, grown ass men who troll, teenage boys who troll online, that's a fucking feminine trait. You need to go do some push-ups and get the bitch out of you. This is in defense of toxic masculinity. I'm not here to help you, Surya. Sorry. I don't know why y'all folks be coming from India and Indonesia sitting here e-begging. That shit won't work over here. This is toxic masculinity. That's what this chat is about today. That's what this live stream is about. Toxic masculinity. We're going to defend toxic masculinity, and we're going to define how it was originally conceptualized in behavioral science and how people completely misuse that term, which has which is no longer tethered to the original concept for which it was coined. That's cool, Syria. I'm not here to help you, bro. Unless you want some advice, I can give you some advice, but I'm not here to give you any money or anything else. So go scam somewhere else. You realize that you are the reason why a lot of people don't like Indian people coming into their online platforms because they think you're all a bunch of scammers and beggars. So if you want to change that image of Indian men online, because it's only the men, by the way. If you want to change that ethnic image of Indian men online as being scammers and guys who are perverts who come to harass women online, you need to start with yourself. Don't come onto online platforms begging people for money. Don't do that. You are contributing to that stereotype that you guys have in online platforms. Syria, that's my free advice to you. And anyway, so I see some people gathering in the chat room. Again, I wanted to do this early because I know a lot of people will come on in this time period, usually earlier on. But yeah, this is defense of toxic masculinity. And I'm probably going to have to do this several times. Fine, whatever. But I'm going to define what it originally meant. So, as it was originally coined in behavioral science, what's up, Snapshot Sniper? Um, as as toxic masculinity was originally defined in behavioral science, or as it was called hypermasculinity, it was meant to address men, usually younger men, who grew up in fatherless communities and therefore were exposed to only like feminine behavior from their mothers and so forth, to which they completely rejected and instead emphasized a cultural value of violence, violence and anger, and it usually led to things like like um, gang violence and a lot of mayhem. We see this typically in these fatherless communities in American ghettos. We see them overseas in parts of like Latin America and Africa, where I'm not just saying the people don't have fathers. I'm talking about it's a fatherless community. Like it's a community without older males to rein these younger guys in. So these guys reject their mothers' uh, feminine traits and instead um, embed themselves in a sort of toxic mix of the worst traits of masculinity, which is violence and anger, and project that onto the rest of the community through things like gang violence and you know, military style coups and stuff like that. So you see this in many third world countries as well as in American ghettos, because for the most part, American ghettos act like they're in the midst of a third world country. So that was the original definition of hypermasculinity or toxic masculinity. If you come here speaking another language, I'm just going to time you out. You have the fucking, if you have the fucking ability to be on YouTube, which is a Google product, that means you have the ability to use Google Translate to speak English. So speak English or get the fuck off my stream. I'm gonna switch the filter to all messages so I can get them all, but mind you, if I don't respond, that's because it wasn't worth responding to. So, anywho, that was the original concept of hypermasculinity. It referred to younger men enmeshed in a fatherless community where they rejected the feminine traits of the women around them, like their mothers and sisters and so forth, and aunties, and instead embraced a culture of violence. That's hypermasculinity. That's toxic masculinity. What now has gone on in the Western world of what they call toxic masculinity is basically just trying to shame any man for having typical masculine behavior. And like a popular meme has said, oh, toxic masculinity, you mean the thing that kept your ancestors from getting eaten by wolves? Exactly. That's different. To shame men for naturally being assertive, aggressive, confident. This is the so-called gaslighting, which is another word that's overused in common parlance by people who have no background in behavioral science, much less psychology. But to be sure, to shame men, typically straight men, for typical masculine behavior is gaslighting. So this is in defense of toxic masculinity as it's defined by the as it's currently used in in common common vernacular, not as it was actually defined in behavioral research. So I'll see if people have anything intelligible to say on the subject. If not, I'm gonna move on and go work out. As always, I always give that proviso that if there's no dialogue to be had, then I can always just move on to a different subject another day or later today while I go do some other things because you know not every topic is maybe seem as engaging to the people currently online, especially after I knock out a lot of trolls. And again, I know who some of you trolls are because you go into multiple live streams. I don't visit other live streams unless I actually know the content creators. Like, not know them personally, but like I'm familiar with the content that they make. Like it's on martial arts, it's on comic books, or something that of which I am interested. Or they are people who I've befriended here on YouTube, like Moonlit Fern, Miss Needles, people like that. They have warned me of people coming into these streams. They just jump from one stream to another, harassing the content creators, and you guys are losers. um, People who go from live stream to live stream just to harass the YouTube creators need help. And again, you would think because I'm defending toxic masculinity, I would be defending the trolls. And I'm telling you, no, the trolls are actually the antithesis of toxic of masculine behavior because grown ass men or even teenage boys going into live streams to harass YouTube creators or TikTok creators or creators on the meta platforms like IG and Facebook. If you're going into those spaces just to do that, that is feminine behavior. That is not masculine. So, with that said, I'm going to put on some lo-fi music. I'm going to adjust the volume because I don't want to get copyright strike for it. So, Do I have any snacks? Yeah, I got some snacks in here too. But yeah, so I'm curious what you guys think. So am I off base here in defending toxic masculinity? Have you not known the original concept for which it was defined and how it's been completely misused from its original usage? Do you have a counter to that? Do you agree? And another thing is toxic masculinity actually believes in protecting women. So the whole the whole smear of toxic masculinity is that these people attack women and are dangerous to women when that's actually the antithesis to traditional what's considered traditional masculine behavior, which is now deemed toxic. They are the ones who are the ones who are going to protect women. And we see this countless examples online when you see random guys going out of their way to protect women, some whom they may not even know, just go out of their way to protect them or children whom don't even belong to them. This is typical masculine behavior. This is what our ancestors did to keep us alive and surviving and thriving. So this incel named John Joe says, I got a nice farm you can come work at. All you have to do is pick my white flowers. All you have to do is pick my nuts out of your mouth, bitch. You're a you're one of these feminine ass bitch ass made dudes who I'm talking about. Toxic masculinity would G check people like you because you would be recognized for the little bitch ass made person you are. No one's a slave, my friend. You're a slave to your own low IQ. You're a slave to your low capacity to think and reason beyond making racial tropes that are like centuries old. You have nothing else better to do with your life. This is why you're online. This is why you're online talking to a content creator who's getting paid to do this. Meanwhile, what are you doing? You're a fucking loser. You're a fucking incel, and you're you're fucking pathetic to the male gender. And in defense of toxic masculinity, we need to get rid of bitch ass people like you. You're a fucking hump and a loser in your real life. You're either a teenage wimp or you're a grown ass man with a chin beard and a pot belly. And probably the only thing keeping you from an AR-15 in a school is your ability to troll people online. But you're a bitch, so you will be off my channel now. I just wanted to let you know how much of a loser you are as you go from stream to stream and get called a loser because you have nothing else going for you in your life. What's up, Flutterby? I haven't seen you in a few days. Kevin says Timo Don Lemon looking. Really? I don't look nothing like Don Lemon. I look better. And who are you, bitch? You bitch ass nigga. Again, you are the people, you guys are the reason why we need toxic masculinity to get the bitch out of dudes like you. Coming onto live streams and trolling content creators is feminine behavior. Feminine behavior. This is why we need toxic masculinity because toxic masculine behavior, quote unquote toxic, would G check every single one of you bitch ass people. Furby says Twitch troll, don't worry, you earn money off it anyway. Yeah, I know I earn money off them. They don't realize when they come here talking trash, like they're just helping me. But in doing so, I'm gonna roast them, Flutterby. I'm gonna roast them. KFC said, bro, just give them a 3-piece with the soda. Flurry says, "Hey, I'm okay-ish. How's you?" I'm all right, doing well. What's up, you? What's up with you and your Turkish friend? You thought I forgot about that. I haven't forgot about that. Andrew says you look good, sir. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it, bro. Duck Light says chill out, Kevin Jones. Nah, he got the ban. What happens, and this is how you know they're losers, because if they could stand on their square, once someone banned them, they'd be like, all right, forget that. Nah, what they do is they come back under new usernames each time. I literally had a guy come back like 5 times. He just kept like 5 or 6 times, just kept making different usernames just so he can come back into the live stream. You're like, how much of a loser are you? You have to keep making usernames to harass one content creator. And in the long run, it's helping me as he continues to create usernames to come back to leave like corny insults to me. It's helping my platform grow. Stupid. That's like, it's like you're paying me to insult me. And they don't get that. Flurby says toxic is misunderstood as a bad thing always. Yep. Andrew says you are my hero, sir. Thank you. Haley says hey, what's up, Haley? Greater Delight says what content? No, it's not. All right. I don't know what you're talking about, so you can go in timeout. Figure it out there. Anywho, I don't know. I don't know why these people try. Don't try, Gen Xers. We don't give a fuck. Don't try us. We don't give a fuck. I'm not your typical YouTuber. I can kick your ass in real life. I'm not one of these little uh, soft ass dudes to make a living off this. So don't care about your feelings. And these guys coming in here, uh, flirting with a grown man. Again, this is why we need toxic masculinity to G-check people like that. You don't come into a male platform and sit there and flirt with another man. I mean, your preferences are your preferences, fine, but it's I've made it quite clear I have no interest in that. Duck Light says graded light with a name like that, it has to be a troll. Oh yeah, absolutely. I already timed him out. So guys, since I have some new people in this stream, I'm gonna go over what I just went over like 20 minutes ago, where I defined the origins of toxic masculinity and how it's being misused today, and why I'm defending toxic masculinity as it's defined today, not as it was originally used. Flutterby says, "But you are handsome, though. Take the compliments." I appreciate it, but I don't want that from men. Flutterby, I don't want to hear a man call men. You don't call other men handsome. That's nah. That's that's off code. Like I can recognize another dude. Like, oh, that's a fly dude right there. Like the man got some swag about him, or as the younger folks say, some riz, right? The man's rizzed up or something like that. But you don't say a man's handsome or he's good looking. Like, I'm not gonna say that about another man because I'm a masculine person. This is why I'm defending toxic masculinity. It's just like I'll say a woman is pretty, like, but women can call other women pretty because it's not against girl code to do so. Like there are different standards amongst men and amongst women. Well, you can support Diddy on your own platform, Andrew. I don't support that punk here. And if you think I'm joking, you can check out like at least 30 videos, YouTube shorts that I've done saying exactly what I think about Diddy. I hope he rots in jail. Fuck him. He can he can enjoy his $1 billion from prison for the rest of his life for all I care. So I'm not Diddy, so if you're making that allegory, forget about it. If you're supporting him, go somewhere else with it. Don't care. You said, what did he do wrong? I'm not going to explain it to you. You can go into my other videos, or you can get the breakdowns from like at least 50, 100 other content creators who've all talked about Diddy on YouTube and TikTok. There's like literally hundreds of content creators who've talked about that man. Hundreds. So you know what he did. We're not going over that. That's not the point of this topic. Ducklight says, "Did you have a subject today? Got to your live late." Yeah. So, first of all, what's going on, Duck Live? So, the topic today is in defense of toxic masculinity. So, I'm going to define the origins of that because I did it about 20 minutes ago, but a lot of you weren't in the stream when I originally did it. So, I'm going to define it again, and I'm gonna probably do it later on in the stream as well for the people who just came in then as well. So, in any case, um, Flutterby says, act like an arsehole, expect to be treated like shit. 100. 100. She's absolutely right. Oh, Flutterby, this is what I wanted to ask you last time before you left. I forgot. Did you want to be a moderator? Because I can. I'd be more happy to make you one of the mods too, since you're always here supporting me. Well, while she answers, guys, so I'm gonna give you the original. Um, so John's. So we got another troll. He says, "Get a job, bald head." First of all, it's Sunday. I have a job. This is Sunday, my friend. Second, I'm not bald, bro. I keep it close because I don't like long hair because I'm masculine. I keep my hair short like I did in the military because I served in the military because again, I'm masculine. You're a bitch because you're coming in here trolling a content creator. This is why we have to defend toxic masculinity to get rid of the bitch made feminine ass low testosterone dudes like yourself trolling content creators just to get attention that you couldn't get from your fathers because he left after he skeeted in your mother and he didn't want the dumb bitch. No, no, thanks. Though. Okay, that's fair. I was just asking. Uh, Andrew says people just hate rich black men. He's a freaky dude, but he doesn't deserve life in prison. Nah, son. Nah, nah, nah. It has nothing to do with him being rich, nor black. He's an asshole. And first of all, you may have heard that bullshit over on the Dennis Sperling channel. That's something I fervently disagree with. I love Dennis Sperling's podcast, but I fervently disagree with him saying that we need to defend him, this guy just because he's rich and black. Who gives a fuck? Being rich and black doesn't absorb you of accountability for your behavior. For him to always harp on the fact that black women need to be accountable for their behavior, but then he doesn't want to G check black men who are off code. Nah. So we're supposed to be on code for a man, on bro code that is, for a man who's been off bro code his entire life. No, no. And to say he's doing nothing worse than the porn industry, if the porn industry is doing the same things that he's doing, then they need to be checked too. But forcing people to have sex, that we know what we know what that defines, and not just women. He's done that to men. One of his cases is currently one of his producers from his last album, the Brother Love album 2023, whom he's forced to have sex with male prostitutes under the influence of drugs. There's a word for that. This is why we defend toxic masculinity to get rid of feminine stuff like that. Diddy didn't have a father in his life. His father was a hustler who was murdered when he was young, and he being a byproduct of a single mother. This is what you get. Duck Life says he didn't ask for money. He's trying to stay on subject, but you trolls keep interrupting. Wait, yeah, when did I ask for money? I'm, what they misheard, Duck Life, was the fact that when they come in here and troll, it actually helps me earn money through the stream. I'm not asking for money. I'm telling them they are giving me money as by virtue of them coming in here trolling, contributing to the chat room. They don't get that because they're stupid. Like I said, half these trolls are kids, and they need to be checked on what they do online by their parents. And the other half are grown ass men who are losers in their lives, and probably the only thing keeping them from an AR-15 in a school is being able to go troll people online. So in any case, so guys, um, I'm gonna define this, and then we can get back into the y'all stupid ass comments afterwards. These people trying to defend Diddy and all that shit. I'm not gonna talk about Diddy anymore, Andrew. Go to another fucking live stream, bro. I've talked about it ad nauseum, and I probably will again in the future, but that's not the topic of this stream. So, adios, muchacho. May the odds be forever in your favor. Anywho, so toxic masculinity was originally the concept in behavior research under which it was called hyper masculinity. Same thing, but it wasn't what people see it as today. What they call today toxic masculinity is basically anything that is traditional of traditional masculine behavior. What hyper masculinity or toxic masculinity was, as it was originally defined in behavioral research, referred to young men who came from fatherless communities who rejected the feminine traits of the women around them, their mothers and sisters and aunties, and instead embraced a culture of violence. And in any of these places where you see such you see such behavior, this hyper masculinity or toxic masculinity is usually a community enthralled in gang violence and like um, warfare. So this pertains particularly to like a lot of um, underdeveloped countries in Africa, Latin America, and parts of Central Asia, and even here in America within the American ghettos with some of the Black and Latino groups where often there's no men around, and it's not just hey they don't have fathers. There's no fathers in the community, because even if a person doesn't have a father in the community, there may still be other men in the community who step up and have a role in showing these young men how to be men. But in these fatherless communities, that doesn't happen. But what happens is these guys, once these kids become adolescents, they reject the feminine traits of their mothers and their sisters and their aunties who raised them, and instead take on this embrace uh, gang-like behavior. And this is what became toxic masculinity originally, as it was defined in behavior research. This is bad. This is not something to uphold. However, people in pop psychology and now in the in you know in the general in general culture today have now taken the term for that original concept and now have used it to associate it with anything that's traditionally masculine. And that is gaslighting. But traditional masculine behavior protects women, right? Traditional masculine behavior rejects feminine behavior of men, such as trolls who come online and harass content creators on in spaces like YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. They would get checked for that. Be like, no, you need to grow up. You have a lot of time on your hands, young man. Why don't you go do something productive with it? You like so you like to write stuff online and harass people. Okay, go spend that elsewhere. Why don't you write some articles on your thoughts on people you disagree with? Why you disagree with that? Make some money off of your complaints about certain social aspects that you see online, instead of just trolling people. Why don't you take that energy and do something productive with it? That would be checking these feminine behaviors of these online trolls or people who talk violence. Okay, guy. Okay, they're like, okay, tough guy. So you like threatening people online? All right, if you're so tough, why don't you do a membership at the MMA and let's see how tough you really are. But hey, I see there's a MMA gym like 2 miles from where you live. Why don't you go sign up for a free week trial? Test yourself out there. Let's see how tough you actually are. Or hey, you know, you said you would shoot people and do this and do that. Okay, sound tough. Sound like you're willing to take people's lives, and you know, why don't you go enlist in the military and make good use of that effort? Stop harassing people. Stop threatening people. If you want to threaten and harass people, do it. Get paid for it. Erickson Salcido says you look like Morgan Freeman. Yeah, except he's like 60 years older than me. Try again. Flatterby says like and sub people. This guy is totally awesome. Truth, facts, 100. Thank you, Flatterby. Ducklight says facts. Officer Lumen, what's up, man? He's back. He says, hey. So Officer Lumen, I'm trying to school these guys. I'm trying to defend what they call toxic masculinity, which is just traditional masculine behavior. And I'm letting these guys know, these trolls, that they are they're actually being feminine. Like feminine men come online and harass people. Masculine men spend their energy elsewhere and do something productive. Flutterby says caveman instincts, men being real men. That's how I see it anyway. Ducklight says, do you think welfare department pushed that agenda? Partly. It I mean, but it was also the women's fault who embraced it. Like they chose to get welfare checks over having men in their homes, because part of the stipulation for them receiving that welfare was you can't have men in your home. So they chose those government checks over their men. So both parties are at fault here. Like, yes, what they offered was bad, but you can choose to reject it. It's like if someone offers you crack, it's bad. It's bad that they offered it, but it's up to you to, if you decide, hey, I'm gonna try it, or if you reject it, be like, hell no, I don't want that. It's the same thing. So a lot of these women let down their communities because they chose welfare checks over having men in their homes, men who would not only provide and protect for them, but raise their children and be a beacon for those communities. So yeah, both the government and those women are at fault for that. Morgan Vegas says, hi everyone. Morgan Baker says, "Are you red pill?" I guess I would say red pill, but I don't want to get too much into red pill ideology because at the end of the day, my views come from my views come from behavioral research, logic, and common sense. Often the case, a lot of red pill ideology coincides with my views on things, but not all the time. There are some red pill views that I disagree with. But if people want to call me red pill, I will totally embrace it. But just you know, just as a forward, I'm not gonna agree with everything they say. I don't agree with everything that anyone says. I think that's not healthy. I think a a, a, a man should be able to stand on his own square and agree where he wants to agree and disagree where he wants to disagree and be able to defend those views with reason. So if people find I'm red pill, I'm fine with that. Especially in defense of toxic masculinity, people probably would say red pill, but I just see I'm just defending traditional masculinity, which has been called toxic now in Western culture because the effeminization of pop culture. Officer Loomis says, "What y'all talking about?" So yeah, that's what I'm talking about, bro. Is I'm saying in defense of toxic masculinity, and I'm telling people that the term toxic masculinity is completely misused from its original, its original concept. Morgan Baker says, "What do you think about feminism?" I think feminism helps neither men nor women. At at its original stage, I understood it was. Now, if you were talking merely about equity feminism, I think most men would be on board with that. Equity feminism was just, hey, women should have equal opportunities, you know, in the workspace and in political spaces. That's not very controversial, except to people who just are misogynist. Okay. But again, that's another term that's misused. They typically call anything misogynist. So got to be careful with that. See, I'm pedantic, which means I'm going to only use a term in its correct usage. If when I see terms being misused just to make a point, I'm going to call it out. So I disagree with misogynists, but I also disagree with people who misuse the term misogyny for anything they dislike, right? But so the problem with feminism was in this first wave, like it was actually embraced by people who were also for the abolition of slavery. But a lot of these first wave feminists actually wanted to stifle the freedoms of the early freedmen. So strike one. Then with second wave feminism, it became about gaining getting the power to vote, um, being able to um, hold equal jobs to men, stuff like that. Fine, but the only problem with that, I would say, was that when you double the labor force, you make everyone, you bring down the wages for everyone. So they were actually hurting us in the long run because when women entered the labor force en masse, it doubled the labor force, which meant that then employers could pay people less because they have more labor from which to choose. Strike two. Then there's third wave feminism, which was all about um, attacking the institution of patriarchy within academics and politics and stuff like that. So you start having feminist science, feminist grammar, feminist philosophy, feminist psychology, and I'm not joking about this sort of stuff. This was all within third wave feminism, but a lot of this stuff couldn't really be rationally defended unless you already agreed that these traditional institutions of academics were were incomplete. Like, obviously having more diverse voices within academia is a strength, but when you're only multiplying these voices just for the sake of multiplying these voices and not for actually adding to the accuracy of the knowledge that they produce, then what are we doing? Strike three. But it doesn't even stop, because now we're in fourth wave feminism, which now is about not just being equal to men, but being better than men and letting men be women. there's there's nothing, I see nothing. Like, I can defend the first three waves with their flaws embedded within them, but I see no virtues to fourth wave feminism. So that's not even a that's not even a fourth strike. That's just a foul ball. So I hope that answers your question, Morgan. Um, but Flubby says, I like old fashioned values, but it's far from it now. Times change and gotta respect it, but respect has to go to all views and values. That's fair. And she says, all about options, not wiping one out for another. Agreed. Riaz says, hello, what's up? Final Destination says, women got it easier. In some respects, they do, especially in minority spaces. As a black guy, there are so many resources set aside for black women in academics and in business spaces that don't go to black men. Like, I've had a friend, his mom even told him, hey, you had a much easier if you were a girl, because all these resources they set aside for black women who often don't take advantage of it to get into things like STEM, which is he's involved in. Like, he's doing his doctorate, but he had to grind. No one helped him get to where he is right now with doing his doctorate. He grinded. He put himself through uh, junior college, through a 4-year university. Then he got his master's. Now he's working on his doctorate. He grinded for that. No one gave him anything. His mother didn't have the resources to help him, and he got it from nowhere. Like, he got, you know, he grinded and got to where he is, and he's enjoying the fruits of his labor. But if he's a woman, there would have been all sorts of money set aside for him to get into STEM and to get his undergrad degree, get his master's degree, to go on to a doctoral program for or set aside to do stints at different firms to get experience, work experience. They don't have that for they don't have that for black boys. Anytime someone sets up a program for black boys specifically, they're like, well, what about the women? You guys are covered already. Let us just have something just for the boys. I disagree vehemently with Barack Obama on multiple political issues. But after he was in office, he did try to set up a program for black men. Like, he finally was going to do something for black people. And the very first complaint came down, well, yeah, what about the girls? So, Morgan Baker says, good analysis. Thank you. Uh, Christoph says, incels paradise. I'm not sure what you're referring to, because again, in the culture, the online culture of incels is not masculine behavior. That is feminine. And that's the point I'm trying to make in defending toxic masculinity. What they call toxic masculinity today is just traditional masculine behavior. And if we had more of it, we could check these dudes on the stuff that they do online, which is very feminine. Harassing people online is a feminine trait. That is not a masculine trait. When guys have a problem with other guys, they physically fight it out. Amongst men, there's always a low level threat of violence amongst men. So you know to give that man his due respect as he is supposed to give you your due respect. Because once you cross a certain line, like people will put up with a certain amount of disrespect, but once you cross that line with a man, there is the there is the threat of violence. With women, we allow that tolerance to go much higher because typically we won't engage in physical violence with women when we are raised correctly. But when you're raised by single mothers and you have women saying, "Well, we're independent, we're strong, we don't need men, we we can do everything men can do," then it was like, all right, cool. Then those young guys raised without men in their lives, who are always told by women that they're better because they're stronger and independent, they're gonna put hands on those women. So it's not productive, and that leads to in the online culture of incels, which again, feminine. Morgan says, "What do you think about OnlyFans models?" So here's my thing: if women want to be sex workers, fine. I don't care if they want to. If they make a lot of money being OnlyFans models, but let's call it what they are. They're just online prostitutes. If you do sex work, you're a prostitute. If you make money from sexual acts, you are a prostitute. They can call it OnlyFans models if they want. They're prostitutes. If you're a stripper, you're a prostitute. If you work on the street, you're a prostitute. If you work in porn, you're a prostitute. If you're a bottle girl, you're a prostitute. If you're a bar girl, you're a prostitute. Let's not mince words. OnlyFans models are prostitutes. I don't have a problem with it. My problem is when they think they are better than the hardworking men who give them the money for which they make a living. These guys who subscribe to them, $19.99 a month or however much it is. Once they thought they were better than their very customer base who make their money the, the old-fashioned way of going to a job, just because they make more selling sex. That's why I have a problem with the OnlyFans women, the ones who think they're better than the men who supply them their money to make their lifestyle. Otherwise, I have no problem with OnlyFans models. Get get your grind on, like literally get your grind on. But hey, get your grind on, make your money, cool. But shut the f up. Back in the day, we've always had brothels and um, sleazy bars, massage parlors, aka whorehouses, all of them. But they've always been around, and you typically had um, madams who ran these institutions or owned them. They made a lot of money. Some Usually they made more money than the guys who came to trick off in those places. But guess what? Those madams never did. They never put themselves above their clientele because they were smart enough to know that that would be self-defeating. But some of these OnlyFans models, these webcam girls, um, these escort services women, they actually think they're better than the Johns who give them money. When these guys are hardworking guys, so you think you're better than a so you think you're better than a network engineer? Forget about it. You think you're better than the trash man? If that trash man didn't come every week, your community would become a cesspool. You think you're better than that hardworking guy on the oil derrick who's literally risking his life working on that oil derrick because you make more than him? Mm-mm. This is where they. This is where the OnlyFans girls fell off. Final Destination says Simps culture. Yeah. Yep. Christoph says living with moms. All right, bro. Final Destination's OnlyFans is no difference than porn. It is porn. You're absolutely right. There is no difference. It is porn. It's just they're using a different platform. Matter of fact, a lot of the people in porn, like the established porn stars, have moved over to OF. Some of them are still doing like the regular porn through the in the industry with going to the studios and stuff, but others have either went completely to OnlyFans, or they're making content on both OnlyFans and with the porn studios, because the money on OnlyFans goes directly to them. There's no middleman, and they can just find their other buddies in the industry, or just regular regular people off the street willing to do it on on video and make their money. So there's no difference between OF and porn. They are the same thing. Final Destination says fem cells. Yeah, so there's a thing called fem cells too. Again, it shows that that the whole incel culture is feminine behavior in the first place. Officer Luna says, "What in the f?" uh, Final Destination says, "In the eyes of the law and society, women are holy cows." Oh, I get it. Um, in some aspects of the law, yes. Final Destination says Y chromosome is dying for a reason. Well, it's not dying. What's going on is just that we devalue traditional masculine behavior, and if so, in the red pill community, this is something they do make up a strong point of, is that you see in every culture, in every civilization where you see that civilization starting to devolve, is that you see a rejection of traditional masculine behavior for more egalitarian and feminine type of virtues. We've seen it in ancient Rome, in ancient Greece, stuff like that. So they point to those civilizations of antiquity and say, "See, look how look how effeminate men became during the fall of Rome," and they have a good point to that. Traditional masculinity is for the is made for for society to thrive. Final Destination says women got it all reserved now. He says a woman shaking booty online gets more dollars than a hardworking man in the fields. Yeah, so I'm a capitalist, so I'm gonna say I'm not gonna begrudge them for making more money than the hardworking man in the fields. What I'm gonna say is they need to shut the f up and not talk badly upon that hardworking man. That's the difference. Like I said, there's always been women who've used sex work as to make a living, and often they made very good money. The Wild West was civilized through prostitution, believe it or not. This is a fact. Uh, to get men to come in to these parts of the Wild West, they brought in women. Most often, these were women who worked in these saloons, providing sex work to these cowboys, these ranchers, to these gold prospectors. to people who were going to set up industries like banks and groceries in these places that were just at the time wilderness. So they helped civilize the Wild West. And some of these women became wealthy in doing so as sex workers and as madams who ran these whorehouses and brothels and saloons. What they didn't do though, they didn't put themselves above those men, those cowboys, those ranchers, those gold prospectors. They didn't put themselves above those men. So I have no problem with them making more than the men in the pursuit of performing sex for these guys. My problem is that they now put themselves above those men. That's my issue with it. But I'm a capitalist. I don't care if they make more money. My point is, you making more money doesn't make you more valuable than those men. Arcelina says, to be honest, women are very important to the world, but some women, dot, dot, dot. Exactly. Fine Destination says, yes, for Sims, lol. Arcelina says, yeah. Flutterby says, yeah, the biggest feminine movement was accidental men off to war and women home doing jobs supposedly for men only. Now women going to war too. That's a huge subject of sex job differences. Yeah. Oh, don't get me started with the military. um, or law enforcement. We saw what happens when you have DEI hires in Secret Service. You got women who can't even holster their fucking gun or protect the president. Officer Lehman says, but what I'm saying is without women, the population will decrease slowly. Oh yeah, I completely agree, Lumen. I'm not saying we should have a world without women. That's not my point. What I'm saying is, in defense of toxic masculinity, society needs to stop devaluing traditional masculine behavior because it is a part of a health. Mas- Traditional masculine behavior is a part of a healthy society. And as we devalue masculine behavior and in value feminine behavior in men, it leads to deleterious results within society. That's my point. But I completely agree. And most men, again, masculine men, real men, would say we need women. We want women in society. It's women today who are saying the opposite, saying we don't need men. We don't need men to for civilization. We can just make our own children and send the guys away, or we can just artificially inseminate ourselves and produce children. We don't need men, and we've seen this in sci-fi. We've seen this in Star Trek and many other sci-fi that show what happens when you try to raise a a society without men. Spoiler alert, it doesn't go well. But um yeah, most men will say, no, we need women, we want women. It's only women today who say we don't need men. But yet, Lumen is absolutely right, we need women in society. But for some reason it's weird for women to think they don't need men. We need each other. um Luna says, but the men are strong and smart, but without women, the population will go south very fast. True. Final Destination says, women today think earning dollars is easy as F. Right. How many times have you gone online, whether it's Instagram, here on YouTube, and you watch these women? And to be honest, I don't put too much on it because they're usually asking these people who are drunk coming out of bars and clubs their opinions on stuff. You have these, these content creators coming out to do these interviews that they put online of people, and these people are usually inebriated. So I take what they say with a grain of salt, but typically you'll have these women out there, and these guys will be like, "Hey, how much do you need a guy to make?" And they were saying stuff like, he needs to make over 1 million to have me, or stuff like that. And it was like, you're completely off base here. Like, they don't, they show a complete lack of economic knowledge. Like, people who make over 100,000 a year are just 15% of income earners in the United States. About 15%, meaning 85% of the 85% of the general population doesn't make 100,000 or more. And for the ones they want, because some of them say, I need someone who makes at least 100,000, blah blah blah. Okay, whatever. So so now you only want 15% of the income earners in society. But then they're saying no. But some of them go more outrageous. That they need to be making 400, 500,000 a year. You're talking about millionaires. So now you're talking about the one percenters, 1% of the income earners in the population. At that point, you basically ruled out 99% of the income earners in society. Plus, you got to realize those guys at that extreme income have a diversity. They have all the options. They have all the in the sexual marketplace. They have all the options. So if you think this guy's going to choose you, think again. And even if he does choose you, you just might be on his. You just may be within his rotation. If you want to be with a guy who's in the 1%, or more illustriously in the 0.01%, we're talking about the multi-millionaires and billionaires. These guys have all the options in the sexual marketplace. You're going to be in his rotation spot. What is it about you that he would keep you and only you? Then they'll say he also needs to be over 6 feet tall. Again, the statistical average height of a man in America is 5'9". Okay. So you've again knocked off half of men because they're not above 6 foot tall. And they have to make over 100,000. So that's only 15% of the income earners. Where do you think you're gonna get these guys? And he needs to be super fit. So he needs to be making enough income where he's practically a millionaire, over 6 feet tall, and looks like Batman. Okay, so you want a comic book character now. You want Bruce Wayne, you want Tony Stark. You want Ali from Green Arrow. This is delusional thinking. Flutterby says, "Oi, I was a barmaid. Thank you. I served drinks and got paid for serving drinks only. Thank you." No, 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 Flutterby. So when I'm talking about bar girls, I'm talking about something that happens in Latin America and Asia. Bar girls, I'm not sure if that's not the same thing as barmaid. So bar girls in parts of Latin America, like Panama, places like that, and Asia, like Thailand, Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnam, bar girls aren't just there to serve you drinks. They get they receive bar fines. A bar fine is your fee to the bar to take these women out from the bar, understood to be under the ages of having sex. And they do it different ways. Some of them, you pay a bar fine and it covers everything for the woman. Other times you pay a bar fine and then you tip the women for their services once you have them back at your place for whatever. Or some bars, you bar fine them and you have fun with them there in the bar. Either way, this is what I mean by bar girls, Flutterby. This is a thing in Latin America and in Southeast Asia where these women are sex workers. And some of them will say, well, I'm not a bar girl, I'm a door girl, meaning they greet people at the door, but you can still receive a bar fine. Some say, well, I'm a dancer, but you still receive a bar fine. Some say, well, I'm a waitress, but you still receive a bar fine. Anyone who receives a bar fine in these sorts of places, let it be albeit Panama, Nicaragua, Belize, Honduras, Thailand, Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Indonesia, they're bar girls, they're sex workers. So it's different than what they do in Britain. Final Destination says, no wonder women have lost respect for men. He's at just up to you, man. Thank you, Final Destination. Appreciate it, bro. Officer Loomis says, to be honest, women just do porn, OnlyFans, and more, but still earning cash off their body. Yeah, and like I said, I don't begrudge them from doing it. My only issue with porn stars, OnlyFans, and escort women is that they think they're better than the men who who buy their services, and they're not. they what they do does not make them more valuable than men who earn less than them. They think the value comes from their financial net worth. The value doesn't come from your net worth. Your value comes from what you actually do as a person. What you do as a police officer, Lumen, is more valuable than what a OnlyFans model does, even if she's making like 250,000 a year. Good for her, but what she does is easily replaceable. What you do is not. You literally put your life on the line last night, literally, and you saved people when you had to respond to that call yesterday when you got off last night. That is a more valuable service than a woman sucking dick on a webcam. Final Destination says, gotta support Tate Bros. Thank you. Morgan Baker says, I made 39,000 in 2022 March to July. That's what's up. That's what's up. I wish I could say the same. But literally, if I had made that much in 2022, I'll probably be somewhere else right now, kicking it. Hundo82 says, do you believe money is the root of all evil? No. Um, First of all, I believe evil is like a misnomer. I think we should is I think is I think if we ditch the term evil and instead talk about um, human misery and suffering, that would be that would be more productive, right? Because when you get into a talk of good versus evil, it's a quasi-religious sort of conceptualization, and then it might get you into these ideological spaces in which you didn't intend to do. So the root of no, the root of all evil, if there is a root of human misery and suffering, is that people make bad choices. Um, and we all are born with certain conceptual and perceptual biases that lead to us making bad decisions and bad judgments. We're all born with these conceptual biases and perceptual biases. The thing of it is that for a long time in social science, particularly in economics, political science, even in law and sociology, there was this thing called rational choice theory, that people add up the costs and benefits when making decisions. But that's not really how people, but psychology showed us that that's not really how people think and behave. All things being equal, people are actually irrational. But luckily, through evolution, we've developed some checks and balances to counter some of our more irrational behavior, but we're still pretty much irrational animals. We're very tribalistic. Uh, we use we use these heuristics to make quick decisions, which in the long term turn out to not be very good, but may be useful in the immediate. Um, and without a certain embrace of certain moral instincts, human avarice and brutality would win out, where we couldn't have a coherent, cohesive society. So it's not money. Before there was money, people were killing people all the time through intertribal warfare. Before human civilization came about 6,000 years ago, as Thomas Hobbes would say, life was short, nasty, and brutish. It wasn't Buddy that created that. That existed prior to. What money did was give us an exchange system in which we could equitably exchange our goods and services for a fee that we could use to make a living and provide for ourselves and our families. That was an ingenious invention of humanity. I don't think that's evil. But like all tools that people come up with, that humans come up with, they can be used for good or for bad. Religion is not evil either. Religion is sometimes used for good, sometimes used for bad, as a tool for people depending on their uh, their actual motives. Um, Officer Loomis says that's cool, but fucking disgusting. Final Destination says hence marriage sucks more than ever before these days for men. I don't think so. It's whom you marry and where you marry. I'm married. I've been married for 7 years. I love my wife. I She's been one of the best decisions. Marrying her has been one of my best decisions I've ever made. But I didn't marry here in America. So again, going back to the red pill community, I agree with them that where I think men should be married, I'm not sure if they should be married to Americanized women. There's really no benefits to it long term. Short term, yes. Long term benefits, no. Family law completely favors women in almost every outcome. Divorce law the same. You could lose everything. There's nothing in current American law that makes marriage a good investment for an American man to do. But I'm not saying you should not marry. I'm saying if you do choose to marry, you should probably marry someone who's not American. So that's an individual choice, though. But I would say men still should still get married. A real man gets married at some point in his life. I think once you are 35 and over, you should be married. In particular career fields, you will be looked down upon if you are not married. Like men over over the age of 35, once they are into their career, will start will be denied opportunities to to grow within their career when they're still single. Also, marriage provides social economic benefits to men. It keeps them out of trouble. The difference between Jay-Z and Diddy, Jay-Z has been married for over what, 15 years now. Diddy's never been married. Because of that, he's been wilding out his whole life and it's caught up with him. Russell Simmons, he was wild as hell too. You know what saved him? He was married. I mean, he's not anymore, but being married and having those kids, that calmed him down. Also, happily married men, and I want to make it clear, I'm talking about happily married men, not married men who are miserable, but happily married men tend to live longer as well. So there are benefits, but only if you marry the right women. That was a Freudian slip right there when I said what, the white women, the right women. um, if you marry well as men, it has a lot of benefits. So, but I would say don't marry these westernized women who want to be strong and independent, who wear their career like it's a dick. Don't do that. Arcelina says, to be honest, women be taking marriage too seriously. Yeah. And he says, I mean, marriage is serious, but they be going too far. I get it. Yeah. Final Destination says, divorce is a joke in the West, and men suffer with paying alimony and child support. And here's another thing. So George Takei, the guy who played Sulu in Star Trek, he has his own like websites and stuff like that, and he has a little Facebook group. And everything that the people who manage that group post is always like very leftist leaning to everything. And it's like you can't be left of every single issue. Come on. But it was a thing where it was talked about this woman who was mad that her husband asked her for a, a paternity test because on a child that she was having because he didn't believe he gave it to her and suspected her of cheating. And she was like, "Isn't that the kettle calling the pot black?" Because she, from her purview, she thinks that the husband cheated on her with her friend, and how dare he then claim that I'm cheating? She's and took it as an insult. And I just made the reasonable statement that hey, this is why paternity tests should be mandatory. Then we went they wouldn't even have to worry about it. And all these women came out lashing out. That's so misogynist and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's only misogynist for women who don't want to be held accountable for their behavior. So if she actually cheated, it's gonna call her shit out. But if she didn't cheat, it's gonna fall back on him, and she can use it when they get divorced. Whatever. It's a win-win situation. Also, they aren't many of them weren't aware of the fact that in several states, including mine here in Maryland, if a wife gets pregnant by another man and is proved through a paternity test, that husband in the state of Maryland still is financially responsible for the child she had by another man because it happened within the because it happened within the confines of their marriage. And I'm not kidding. If you think I'm making that up, Google it. Maryland isn't the only state, but yes, in the state of Maryland and in several other states, when a wife gets pregnant by another man, not her husband is still responsible for taking care of that child because it happened within the confines of their marriage. So, this is why I would have never got married in the state of Maryland. Not putting me in the trick bag. Final Destination says women are attention seekers. Morgan says whatever podcast and Fresh and Fit biatches invited me but declined their invitation. You were invited to a Fresh and Fit. The funny thing is, so if I was invited just because I am a content creator, I would do it to grow my platform. But those guys, they have issues. Fresh and Fit. Officer Loomis says for real, but if I have a woman and we marry and they want divorce, then F them. He said, he said, there's personally nothing wrong with me, but if they talking about some BS or giving negative energy, then I'm out of there. Yeah, as you should. Final Destination says, especially today, women, even married ones, cheat more than any man in the damn world. Here's another factoid you guys may not know. So some of you know that I have a wife who's Filipina. She's been on my channel, right? In the Philippines, there is no divorce. Divorce is illegal in the Philippines. It is the most Catholic country in the world outside of the Vatican itself. The Vatican and the Philippines are the only two places in the world where divorce is illegal. The Vatican and the Philippines. That's it. Now, they will allow annulments. And so for some people said their annulments, because they have two type of annulments, um, are de facto divorces. Not really, because they are very hard to get. First of all, they're costly. And two, they're not always granted. You have to make an exceptional case for why you should receive an annulment in the Philippines. What there is a lot of legal separation, but you're still legally married, and that can cause problems, especially if you're a foreigner trying to date a woman who was married in the Philippines legally, because at any time her husband, even if they were legally separated, can come back and say she's committing adultery and have both of you locked up. All that is to say that with me and my wife, I'm in it for the long haul. We can't get divorced. So it makes us work through our problems. Now, if she comes here, stays here with me in the States, then yes, we could get a divorce. But outside of something terrible happening, I don't foresee that. But again, my plan long term is to be there, not here. So if I'm there, it can't happen anyway. Gotta learn how to work through that stuff. um, Salima says I try to stay positive even while I'm on duty. That's good, man. And I know that's hard because all the crazy stuff you were saying, you go through when you're on call, man. I think stuff that can help you positive when you're dealing with a lot of negative stuff is surrounding you with positive stuff about you while you're on duty, like stuff that makes you happy, whatever that may be, whether it's like Pokemon, Pokemon Go, or tasty food like that burrito, or whatever, or like some fine ass women, whatever it takes. Victorious one says that Morgan, good for you. Final says women are into girlish men, quote unquote, these days, and they think other men are stinky. Morgan says, why do you say that, Final? Victorious one says women are into being treated human by men. I don't think anyone's denied that. I don't, at least not in this stream. I don't think anyone's denied women should be treated humanely. I mean, that's a given. That should be at the very minimum that anyone should be treated humanely. That's at the that's the minimum requirement for any person, that they be treated humanely. Even people who are locked up in prison should be treated humanely. That's the minimum standard by which we should treat all people, regardless of their circumstances. Final Destination says nowadays, if you want to sell or showcase a car, even then you need a half naked girl to advertise that stuff. Yeah, sex sells, and it's overused sometimes in advertising. Victorious one says men looking for a cat are the real 304s. No, the 304s are the ones who sell it, not the ones who buy it. The guys who buy it are the Johns. The ones who sell it are the 304s. That's not. Let's. I'm very much against people who try to redefine things for their own purposes. A hoe is always going to be a hoe. A hoe is someone who sells sex for money. That is a hoe, and it always will be a hoe. A guy who buys it is the John or the trick. But it ain't tricking if you got it. No, I'm playing. But no, seriously, a hoe is the one who's selling sex. for money. The John is the one who is purchasing that service. But guys are always going to look for sex because we are literally built. We literally evolved to do so. This is why a woman a woman can only get pregnant once at a time. A man can impregnate several women at a time. See the difference? Let's say that again. A woman can only get pregnant by one man at a time, but a man can impregnate several women at a time. Um, Officer Loomis says some men are just gay and bisexual, which is effing disgusting and nasty. Nasty. God made women for men and men for women. So I won't get into the whole LGBTQ thing. What I will say is that that I think it's unhealthy for society to portray alternative lifestyles as if it's the mainstream when it's not. Alternative lifestyles are alternative by virtue of the fact that they aren't the mainstream. That's all I'll say about that one. Priyansh says, "How do I get white women to like me?" This is not a dating service, my friend. What you need to do is first you need to work on yourself. Women will like you when you are a likable person. That's how. Do you work out? Do you have a career? Do you have social skills that you can hold a conversation with another adult? Those are the things that make you likable. You're putting the cart before the horse. Don't worry about how to get white women to like you. Women of any race will like you when you are a likable person. As a man, I'm assuming you're a man. As a man, you should get and stay physically fit. Number 1. 2, you should be receiving the proper training and or education to pursue a a job or career that will reward you well, that you can take care of yourself and take care of a woman whom you want to date and have a long-term relationship. 3, you need to develop social skills where you can actually hold interesting conversations with people. That comes about through maybe reading, so you have a wider breadth of knowledge of which to discuss, staying abreast of current events and topics going on in society, learning how to talk with people and engage them by using by looking directly at them, but not just gazing in the eyes the whole time. That's creepy and awkward. But be able to hold eye contact with people as you talk with them. Talk with purpose. Don't stutter. Don't hem and haw. Don't be soft spoken. Talk aloud, assertively. Talk in a cadence in which people can understand you. For some people, depending on where they live, what region, you may talk too slowly, and others you may talk too quickly. I come from the Northeast, so I typically talk quicker than people do from parts of the South. So if I'm talking to someone in the South, I might have to slow down my talking cadence a bit. If I'm back in the Northeast, I might speak with my more natural, rapid fire way of talking. But you're worrying about white women or any race of women liking you is putting the cart before the horse. Make yourself a likable person, and those women will like you by virtue of the fact that you are a likable person. Also, you need to work. Also, I almost forgot this, but make sure you have a presentable image. Image is everything before you get to know a person. People judge you off your image. If you look slothern, if you dress lovingly, if you have ill-fitting clothes, if your clothing is outdated, it will look it will look ill on you. Again, that goes back to staying fit, because one a trick of staying fit is that when you are fit, you look good in almost. So that's what you need to work on, Priyansh. All right, get fit. Make sure you are in a field where you are making good income so that you can provide for yourself and for a future partner, and develop your social skills that you can converse you can converse with women and men. If you can hold the attention of men in a conversation, you can hold the attention of women in a conversation. Women are attracted to men who other men respect. I'll say that again for those in the back. Women are attracted to men who are held in respect by other men. I'll say it again. I'm using that Dr. Umar stuff right now. Women are attracted to men who are respected by other men. Free game. Anyway, so Morgan says, but they removed the girls from Formula One, the grid girls. Oh, yeah, I'm not familiar with it, but yeah, I've with the race car stuff hasn't always been like the little sexy models. Shit. I've never been mad at it. I don't have a problem with it. Victorious one says decenter men. All right, what do you say, bro? Final Destination says we already have a population crisis. Well, I'm not sure where you are from Final Destination, but America doesn't have a population crisis. What we have is an aging population, but because we have a constant influx of immigration, we replenish our population. Whereas in places like South Korea, which is having it the worst, Japan, which is almost as worse, and in China, they are going through depopulation. China used to be the most populous country in the world at 1.2 billion people. Now India has replaced them at 1.4 billion. And the thing is, even though China holds 1.2 billion people, most of that is an aging population and it's not being replenished. South Korea, again, same thing. Um, Smaller population, but it's worse for them because it's not being replenished. Japan, not being replenished. America, we don't have a population crisis. We're about, what, 335 million people. And although we have an aging population, it's being constantly replenished through immigration. Unless you're talking about a global population crisis, and that's a different subject. Victorious one says, men want ego stroking and want to be validated. Validate yourself, man. Bruh, what? You've been sipping on that simping sauce. Women want women as cheerleaders for male causes. All right. Anyway, Final Destination says men want peach after sex, but women always want some hassle. Oh, peace. Want peace after sex. I don't know, Final Destination. If you put it down right, you're gonna have some peace. Shit, I'm gonna put you on some more games that I got when I was in college, right? Like, yo, when I was in college, guys discuss stuff. So we was like, yo, the guys put me on game day. It was like, yo, I was like, yo, I had a girl over. They was like, oh, cool, that's what's up. They was like, yo, did she make your bed for you? I was like, wait, what? I was like, nah. He's like, nah, bro. He said, yo, after you had a girl over, yo, she's supposed to make the bed for you in the morning. I'm like, word? He was like, yeah. He was like, yo, if you put it down, she's supposed to make that bed up for you in the morning. I didn't even know. So I started noticing that happening. I don't know if it's just I don't know if, now I don't know if this only refers to black women, like, but or whatever, because the majority that I smashed back in college were black, but I had some Latinas and others. But yeah, like I noticed that, like, I like both girlfriends or women I casually dated, like, after I put it down, like, I would just get up out of bed and they would make the bed up for me. if you, all of that is to say, if you put it down right, you should have peace after sex. If you don't, if there's not peace within that bedroom after sex, something is amiss. Either you didn't put it down right, or she got issues. Because if you put it down correctly, there should be peace within that castle that night. That's what I'm. That's all I'm saying. um, Victorious one says men are childish and want the coddle sphere. Where are you getting this data from, Victorious one? Again, you talking to someone who has quite a bit of knowledge in in behavioral science. So none of this stuff you are saying adds up. There's not facts, data, and statistics to back up what you're saying. You're just repeating cliched stuff that you've heard within feminine spaces. None of this stuff is backed up by behavioral data. Final Destination says no wonder Nikola Tesla stayed single for his life. Victorious one says, of course you need and want women. Women are heaven and earth, or heaven on earth. Men are liars and deceitful. See, this is the dumb stuff I'm talking about. You both both of us need each other. Women need men and men need women, Victorious one. So I don't know where you're getting this bullshit that you're talking about. Men need women and men need women. Men need women and men need women and women need men. We grew that. That is part of the plan. We evolve. We evolve to be lifelong mates. We see this in other species within the animal kingdom too. Usually amongst the higher evolved mammals, they pair bond for life. Within birds and the mammals species, many of them do pair bond for life. We evolve Humans evolve to pair bond for life. So men need women and men need women. This is a part and parcel of human evolution. So all this other bullshit you're talking about is not backed up by behavioral data. It's not backed up by evolutionary history, and it's not backed up by the success of traditional values over the last hundreds of years. Victorious one says, get offline. So now you're insulting me. So now I'm going to time you out. So I was patient with the person, whoever it is, but they're either a simp or a bitch. Anyway, Final Destination says, women think without men this world would be better. Laughing my ass off. Talk about a la la world. He said women can't even open a 10. Right. Every like any given day of the week I'm asked to open a jar or something that they can't open. Like Vegan Ball says, what is this about? Well, if you clicked on this live stream, which I assume you did to get in here, the topic clearly says in defense of toxic masculinity, and that is what I'm doing. I first defined what the origins of toxic masculinity was, and then I just described how that term has been misapplied to now what is currently just masculine behavior, and why it's healthy for society to have men who portray traditional masculine behavior, and why a lot of the social ills we see are through effeminate men, like trolls. Online trolls are effeminate men. Masculine men don't come online to troll people, they to harass people they don't know. That is a feminine trait. So that's what this topic is about. So I'm not even addressing Victoria's one anymore because, like I said, that person needed to be timed out. Final Destination says, as Andrew Tate says, even ugly, average fat women are expecting to get a six-figure earning 6 foot tall lad, laughing my ass off at the double standards, right? It's delusional behavior. Plus, another thing, women, although women have the same capabilities of men to use logic and reason, they often choose not to do so and will reason emotionally instead of instead of through instead of through making using other more rational decisional processes. So the, the problem is with some of these women and some of these effeminate men is that they don't recognize that there are trade-offs. You can't have everything because everything comes at a cost. And so there are certain trade-offs you must make in order to have some things over other things. You can't have everything because some things are at a cost to other things that you may want. So you have to prioritize what things that you actually want over the things that you merely what are the things that you actually need over things that you merely want. But again, this shows why the so-called rational choice theory doesn't actually work in in human behavior because people by and large don't make their decisions through rational choice theorizing. Final Destination says, to be honest, women have no hearts, only men do. I won't go that far. There are multiply good women, just like there's multiply good men. Once we start vilifying each other, therein is where the problem lies. We can't vilify all women for what stupid women say and do. Just like women should not vilify all men for what some stupid men say or do. We have to recognize that there are some people who are just bad people. There are just some people who make bad decisions. There's some people who don't like to take accountability for their behavior in the past on both sides. But to say that one one sex is better than the other is just incorrect. Final Destination says, really, really, man. He said, women expectations are hilarious these days. Oh, I know, I know. I see all the same stuff online that you do. Trust me. I watch a bunch of stuff where I see ridiculous stuff all the time. Final Destination says tit for tat. Nikhil Das says, what kind of country is India? Should I go there? I don't know. Like, that's, you got to give more detail. Like, what is your purpose for traveling? Are you going there to visit? Are you going there to live? What do you, how do you expect to make a livelihood if you're going there to live? And what you mean, what kind of a country? And relative to what? As far as its economy, as far as its politics, as far as its social or dating scene? You gotta give more detail, Nikhil. I don't know what you mean. Final Destination says, believe me or not, women are always on a search for better options. Yeah, you heard me right, guys, even after their marriage. Some women, yes. Just like just like we evolved to seek out as many women as possible to mate with, they are always looking for the best provider. But just because we evolved to do that doesn't mean we haven't evolved to have certain checks and balances on our irrational, on some of these more irrational behaviors. At some point, you reach a you, you know you reach an asymptote. You, there's a point where you reach an asymptote where it becomes asinine to keep pursuing that line of looking for better and better and better. You get what I'm saying? Final Destinations, as a lady can sell her feet pics and farts starred in a jar. Oh yeah, I remember that. That's and the the funny thing is people was actually buying it. My thing was, hey, if a bunch of if a bunch of incels are gonna buy that woman's farts, then so be it. Let her make her money. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a problem with it. Again, I'm a capitalist. As long as she's not dissing those guys for buying it, go ahead. Sell your fart scented jars. Like she will put like different scents in it with her flatulence. Whatever. If look, if she's providing if she's providing a product on the market that a consumer wants, so be it. My only issue is that when they put themselves above the men in society who make the money to provide them the income for the services and goods that they provide, that's my only issue. Final destination is, to be honest, women find pride in prostitution. Well, again, that's in the world we live in today because of certain social ills, which would lead me too far astray into other topics to address that more generally. Morgan Baker says, "What do you think about size queens?" What do you mean size queens? Is that a nice way of talking about morbidly fat bitches? Yeah, I said it. But yeah, I don't know what you mean. If you can kind of flesh that out, do you mean like fat women, or is that the nice way of saying fat women today, or is that something else? Father B says some guys search for better or just different to spice life up after marriage too. Not all women and not all men. Exactly, exactly. I think Victoria's one is looking for someone to throw that person a dog bone for saying all these cliched stuff. But I've already timed that person out. Like they're lucky I didn't ban them, but since because he or she was going into the insult territory, and once you start insulting me, then I'm going to ban you. I don't care if you disagree with me. You can disagree with me all you want, but what you will be is respectful. Final Destination says, hence men tend to commit suicide and are more depressed. Well, actually, that's not true. So here's the thing: when, women attempt more suicide than men, but men follow through with it more because we tend to use more fatal means to delete ourselves than women do. Women will do stuff like overdose on pills or slice their wrists, something like that. Things that are survivable. Guys will use more brutal means to end their lives, such as a gunshot to the head or purposely uh, putting themselves in danger where people will want to end them. Like there's a uh, within the black community, there's a thing known as suicide by cop, which means that when black men are feeling the need to end their lives, they will purposely go out and put themselves in harm's way to get themselves shot by a cop to end their lives instead of them doing it themselves. So men don't commit more suicide than women. They just are able to follow through with it more than women because they use more fatalistic ways to end themselves. As far as depression, I don't think men are more. I'll have to look at the I'll have to look at the data on that. But I suffer through clinical depression myself, but I I'm not aware that men suffer from it more than women. If anything, it tended to be in the at least in the past more frequently diagnosed within women, and sometimes it can show up in different ways because it may be diagnosed under other things uh, like under it, like back in the day, it might have been defined under hysteria or stuff like that, which is now called histrionic personality disorder, which is now no longer well and down in the DSM-5, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Psychiatric Disorders, version 5, is no longer considered a personality disorder. Like they've taken away all the personality disorders and just called see them as alignment with a spectrum of personality traits. But anyway, we don't have to go that deeply. The point is, women have, I think, in the past have been more diagnosed with mood disorders than men, and men is actually been underdiagnosed um, because sometimes with men it'll be masked under substance abuse. Like men would tend to hide their clinical depression through like substance abuse or other destructive things. So it actually tended to be underdiagnosed in men. So, um, Final Destination says Final Destination says losing virginity is a big deal in men because of peer pressure. That and you just want to get some. It can be both. Tiny Snoop answers what Victorious one said, so I'm gonna just show that instead of responding. I'll just let you guys see that in the chat. Um, but he is right. I just didn't want to. I'm the only reason I'm not gonna uh, say it aloud is out loud is because I'm trying to ignore Victoria's one's BS. So that person isn't getting more time. But I agree with Tiny Snoop ALB. He says because you pay for sex when you take a girl out for dinner and shopping, um, for goodness sakes, and he's right. Dating is just a long form of it's just a long form of procuring sex. It's the longer form. We all know that dating is just the long form. The difference between prostitution, dating, and marriage: prepaid, postpaid, lifetime membership. That's the difference difference between prostitution, dating, and marriage. Prepaid, postpaid, lifetime membership. So, um, Final Destination says women can easily become and gain substantially more audiences these days on the internet than men. Yeah, because social media is a is a byproduct that benefits women. So women are going to be more successful as content creators, social media influencers, um, because social media spaces are more geared towards them. Advertisers can make more money off women than men, which means that social media then is going to be geared more towards the success of women on those platforms than men, because the people that they court to be advertisers on their platforms can more market themselves off of content women make than off what often what men make, unless those men are like celebrities, athletes, stuff like that. Um, Final Destination says no wonder daughters don't love or either respect her father, vice versa for a wife, sister, mother, girlfriend. Dude, you don't go black pill. There's a difference between red pill and black pill. Black pill, you're just fatalistic and cynical. There's there's a gray line between red pill and black pill. Don't cross that line where you're just completely cynical and and fatalistic about any sort of like positive, like, social interaction with women. Not all daughters are like that towards their fathers, nor wives to their husbands, sisters to their brothers, mothers to their sons, girlfriends to their boyfriends. That's not true. Don't listen to too much Andrew Tate, okay? Too much Andrew Tate will taint you. No pun intended. But he makes he makes good points, but his solutions aren't always the best. Final final destinations that Karens are everywhere for a reason. Yeah, but you got male Karens too. Guys who'll just, Arsenal Lumen says for real. Um, Funky Fish, you gotta stop flooding the you gotta stop flooding the chat room, brother. Final destination says Bible hated women for a reason. The Bible doesn't hate women. Again, dude, you're going into that black pill space. Bible doesn't hate women. Nor should men hate women. You should not hate women. That is not healthy. Women shouldn't hate men either. That's not healthy. Oh, so you're intentionally spamming me. Okay. So this is what we do for that. Red Blood American says, hi, little buckaroo. How are you doing? Okay. Sting 1896 says, funky or Daz. I don't know what that means, but I know that means he's being a schmuck. And I've already banned him because I thought he was just being passionate, but no, he said that he was actually spamming for purposely just to derail the chat room. Again, that is feminine behavior. Masculine men don't come into a online space like a live stream and flood the chat room to show disapproval of someone. Instead, they sit up on their own petards and say, hey, I disagree with what you're saying, and this is why I disagree. Final destination says Trump loves sex. Who doesn't love sex? Final destination says go MGTOW. Again, I disagree with MGTOW, which stands for people who don't know, MGTOW stands for men going their own way. That is not healthy. That's what I'm saying. That is black pill stuff. That is not red pill. That is black pill. Men going their own way means just separating themselves from women. That's not healthy. That's not healthy for society. And that's not healthy for the individual. To hate every person by virtue of their gender or their genitals is not healthy. Just like we would say it's not healthy for women to hate men just by virtue of them being men, it is not healthy for men to hate women just by virtue of the fact that they are women. That's not healthy. I disagree with MGTOW. That's not productive in the long run. What you should do is you should avoid people who display maleficent behavior or malevolent behavior. Maleficent meaning that they are apt to cause harm to other people, whether men or women. Malevolent meaning they are intentionally trying to cause cause destructive types of things to happen. So you want to avoid people who are malevolent and maleficent. Maleficent is probably just the scientific way of calling people evil, but I think you get the idea. I'm gonna eat one of my fake Chip Ahoy cookies if you don't mind. But I don't think MGTOW is the answer. You can be red pill, you can be anti simp, but MGTOW is problematic for the fact that at the end of the day, God, most healthy men still want women, and they need women. And women need men, whether they want them or not. They still need them. Whether they realize that or not is another issue. But unless we got any other discussion on it, we can kind of end this. But I want to end this by, again, giving my definitions I gave in the beginning of the stream and in the middle of the stream. So the topic is, and was for people who are watching this on replay after I upload this, topic is in defense of toxic masculinity. And what do I mean by that? So the origins of toxic masculinity as it was originally as it was originally um, defined, operationally defined in behavior research, because every concept has to have an operational definition in psychology and behavioral science. Operationally defined meaning defined in such a way that we can actually test it, okay, by its operations. So the way toxic or hypermasculinity was originally defined in behavioral research referred to young men from fatherless communities who, and once they came of adolescence, rejected the feminine traits of the women who brought them up, whether these are mothers, aunts, sisters, whatever, and instead embraced a culture of violence. And this led to things like gang violence and warfare in their communities. And we see this across the world in a lot of uh, in a lot of underprivileged countries throughout Latin America, Africa, and Central Asia. Okay, that is the original definition of hypermasculinity or toxic masculinity. However, that term became misused in popular culture to refer to any sort of traditional masculine behavior, and in doing so try to align masculine behavior with the uber violence going on in these spaces, in in third world countries and in American ghettos, and saying they're the same thing. That was gaslighting 101, because traditional masculine behavior actually leads to healthy societies, not to destructive ones. And that's why I'm defending toxic masculinity as we define it today, not as it was originally defined in behavioral research. Because those traditional masculine values, which are now called toxic, lead to healthy societies, and they prevent effeminate men from self-destructive behaviors like being online trolls and incels, men who fight women, men who want to who see every disagreement as as a personal slight on them as a person instead of just seeing it as a disagreement, and men who utterly won't provide and protect for those who they're supposed to take care of. So that's where I'll end it, unless we have any other thoughts. I'll give it a minute or so. After I finish this cookie, no more conversations, then we'll end it there. These are fake Chip Ahoy chocolate chip cookies. Um, I don't see any other disagreements or other people making conversation, so I'm gonna assume that's a natural conclusion of the discussion. Thanks for everyone contributing. Final destination. Officer Lumen back from last night and others. I might do another live stream later today if I'm feeling froggy. If not, tomorrow. But what I will say to Final Destination again is, brother, don't go MGTOW. That's the that's the wrong answer to the problem. We both recognize the same problem, but that solution isn't a good one in the long term. If you as an individual decide I'm just gonna not deal with women, that's fine. But that's not a long term solution for men in general. So, anyone else got any final questions, comments, queries, criticisms, thoughts, replies? Oh, thank you, Flutterby, again for chiming in. Always enjoy my little British lady overseas. But I guess that's it. Going once, going twice, going thrice. Well, sold. I am out, guys. If again, thank everyone for participating, even the trolls. uh, if you want to see more discussion like that, I have more live streams uploaded. I have a bevy of YouTube shorts you can check out. I have some long form videos you can check out. Uh, and I talk about similar stuff to this and stuff that's completely, utterly different than this. Um, or if you want to show support, you can sign up for one of my memberships. They start at $2.99, or you can leave me a super thanks uh, or a Cash App. The link is in the description for Cash App, my Venmo, or you can buy me a coffee like Flutterby has. She's bought me multiple coffees, so you can do that. And if nothing else, just leave me a like and a subscribe. That helps me out. That helps me grow the channel. Helps feed the gods of the YouTube algorithm to get me more seen. Because just last year, I only had like, I don't know, maybe like 50 subs, and now I'm at 1,600. So I appreciate it. When I hit 10,000, I will do something special on video. If you want to know what I'll do on video when I hit 10,000 subs, go to my community tabs and vote on it. I give 3 choices, and I'm open to others, but 3 definite choices when I hit 10,000. And when I hit 10,000 subs, I might actually do this full time. Right now, this is just a hobby, but if I hit 10,000, I'll probably do this full time. So, again, thank you guys. I'm out. Take care.